Okay.
So this is Luke Leonard, Senior Product Strategist at Google.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Very cool. Can you guys see and hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're going to go through a little bit. First of all, we can talk about anything you'd like to talk about with Google, but I figure I'll give you a quick introduction, kind of how I ended up here in California working for Google. How many of you have used Google in your job or in your school at all? That's what I thought. Like everyone Googles something, right? It's pretty cool to work for a company where people know it as one of the top brands in the world. And it is Google is as popular as Coca-Cola and some of the big major brands are in the world. So Apple, Coca-Cola, and Microsoft used to be up there too, but now people think of technology and they immediately think of Google. And I was interested in technology very early on in my life, and I actually got involved in it when I was in middle school. My teacher at the time, her name was Mrs. Gilbert, and she actually worked with me when I was in 8th grade and helped me learn a little bit more. I would stay after during computer classes and learn a little bit more and read some books. And I learned how to write really simple computer programs back then. Someone's calling me, I'm guessing, one of you guys, but I'm going to ignore it. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. So anyway, when I was in 8th grade, I got involved in more computer stuff. And when I was in high school, I decided to actually apply just doing basic computer work during the summer at my school. So again, I was trying to stay involved in science, technology, and math. And I can't stress enough to you how important it is to me, to spend a little bit more time, not just playing computer games, but just learning about how computers work. And if you have a spare time, definitely learn how to write a little computer program. You might have your interest piqued and really find a good talent there. So please consider that when you're looking at careers. Computers are really fun. You can end up building games and those sort of things. But then working at a job like Google, it's sort of like a dream job. And I'll kind of go into that in a little bit here. Does anyone have any questions for me before I keep talking and rambling a bit? Go ahead.
What exactly do you do at Google?
Sure. So I work on the products called Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. Essentially, they're the products that you use when you're looking to write information down on the internet or make presentations, etc. Has anyone used these products before? Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides? Anyone? They're kind of similar to, if people have used Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, they're Google's versions of those products. And they do some pretty cool things where you can actually work on a document together in real time. So again, one last time, because it's a little dark in there. What's a show of hands of people that have used Google Docs? Raise them really high.
Google Docs.
There's a bunch. Good. So that's the exact product that I work on. And what I do on a day-to-day basis is that I work with the developers, with the programmers that are building that product, and I see what they're building in the future. So the version of Google Docs that I have is what you guys are going to see in probably 3 months. It's got a couple added features. It looks a little bit different. And I then work with schools and businesses to understand what they need added. So let's say, for example, you were working on a project and you couldn't build the type of table that you wanted to build in Google Docs today. I would try to better understand why the students at this particular class were trying to build a table like that, and we'd make it easier in the product in the future. So some cool things that we're working on is in a future version of Google Docs, maybe you will be able to just talk to your computer and say, okay, Google Docs, bold the top paragraph, and then type this line. And as you talk to your computer, it could write out the document for you, so you don't have to constantly type everything. So that's something that we're working on here at Google. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Very cool. How many of you have used Google Spreadsheets or Google Sheets? It's essentially like the spreadsheet version. You can put numbers and do calculations on the internet with that. If you haven't, it looks like there's less hands. Definitely check that out. It's pretty cool. And it's a good way to keep track of lists of information as well. So, pretty cool. Any other questions? Otherwise, I think I might take a quick walk around our office. I'm using my laptop for this, so I don't know how great this will work, but I'm going to give a quick tour. Our office is pretty unique, so I'm guessing you guys have seen a typical workplace before, like either one of your parents' jobs or just touring a typical office. But Google's is pretty different, so I wanted to give you guys a quick look at that if I could. All right, so let's do a quick tour. I'm going to see my best. So right now, I'm in an area called the Customer Experience Center. So one area that you can see right behind me is there's a big poster that explains, like, you can see all the lines where it shows how people use Google Docs. And you can see there's different color cursors for all the users that would be in there. And it just has a screen where we can show that to users. Google also, in addition to building products like Gmail and Google Calendar and Google Docs, we also make hardware. So you can see on this desk right here, this is a Chromebook Pixel. This is a laptop that Google, this is a Chromebook Pixel, which is a laptop that Google makes. And then on this table are all sorts of Android tablets. And how many people know what Android is? Okay, very cool. How many people knew that Google actually owns Android? Okay, very cool. There's a lot of people that don't know that, so it's cool. You guys are a smart class. But you can see here, this is an example of an Android tablet. This is the Nexus 7, and we make those. And we also partner with different companies like HP, who makes additional Chromebooks. So you can see right here is an HP Chromebook. Do you guys use Google Apps at your school? Do you have Chromebooks?
No, we have Android right now.
Well, we got to work on that. We got to send you guys some Google stuff. So.
We have an Android device now.
Okay, very cool. All right, so this, if you can see behind me, is sort of, we have this whole area set up at our office so that when customers come in, or even principals of a school, they can come into this area and kind of envision better how people could use the technology that we have, that we create, at their school or at their business. So we also have some fun stuff. Like, I think Google's the only place that I've ever worked that has a picnic table inside. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's like a random picnic table indoors. There's a gigantic duck that you can sit on. I have no idea why. But we're going to go for a walk now. And if the video quality gets rough, just let me know, and I'll stop, and we can talk a little bit more. Everything at Google is very secure because we work on technology that hasn't been released to the public yet. So you'll see me a lot of times, I have this badge, and I have to, every time we open and close the door, we have to badge into the next area. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm walking outside now. This is our path. Yeah, that's another nice thing about working at Google. It's in California, so I know it's a little cold in Wisconsin. That's where I grew up too. But it's pretty nice and warm here. So you guys can snow.
Say goodbye.
I think you're getting bad Wi-Fi reception. Hello?
Hello?
Go back inside.
Oh, very good. You wonder if you went through some kind of security thing.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question there.
We're wondering if you went through some kind of security thing because there was no like sound and it was all garbly.
Yeah. Yep. It was probably that. I did go through a secure door. So now we're in a different building, and you can see behind me in this. You might not be able to see it. It's showing Google Maps on a really big screen. One of the things that we have in most of our lobbies and most of the areas is we showcase kind of how our products are built. So in this particular lobby, we have a lot of things that are used for Google Maps. Another thing that we have is, how many people have used Google Street View to look for where your house is? Okay. Be done by having cars drive around the roads with very advanced cameras on them. Has anyone ever seen one of those Google cars where they drive around and they have a camera on top and they're actually taking individual photographs of the roads? It's pretty tough to see them out in Wisconsin. Here in California, we see them quite a bit because we test new versions of the Google cars. But another thing is sometimes we want to take maps of areas where you can't actually get a car. Like, we want to make sure that people that might not be able to go physically to the Grand Canyon or might not be able to take a submarine ride can still see the ocean and still go and see the Grand Canyon. And we do this in kind of what we call a googly way. We have employees that can volunteer to use one of these devices, I don't know if you can see it. This is a backpack with a high-powered camera on top of it. I'm going to try to show you this as much as I can. And this is exactly what people wear, this backpack, when they walk through or they hike through the Grand Canyon. And that's why now, when you go to Street View, you can actually see the Grand Canyon in full resolution. People walked around with those backpacks on to take those pictures. So definitely check that out if you can. And behind me now, we have a kind of a super screen area of Google Street View, so you can actually go through and you could look at individual streets. I could actually type in your address there and it'd zoom in just like it would on a computer pretty fast. So it's kind of neat to see each lobby is dedicated to a different Google product, and the one that I happen to be in today is Google Maps. Any questions about Google Maps? Go ahead.
Do they take air view pictures too?
Do they take pictures?
From like up in the air too.
Oh, aerial photos?
Yeah.
Most of when you see like Google Maps and it's on this like the satellite view, that's actually images taken from high resolution photos from space. So that it is Google does contract and pay for those satellite images. We don't yet aerial, because we can take pictures from space, really good high resolution photos. When you zoom into those, we feel that they're just about as good as aerial photography can be. So we don't do aerial photographs just yet. But we always experiment with those kind of things. So now that I'm in this different area, another cool thing about working for Google that's completely not about actually work, it's more about the importance of feeling comfortable at work. And that also includes like having amenities, like just little perks that make employees love being here. As you can see, you see this table that I'm sitting at? Behind me, there is, within 100 yards of every Googler, there's a thing called a micro kitchen. And it allows you to just grab a quick snack when you're about to take a break from work. So Google is a very data-driven company, so we make sure that all the healthy food is really easy to grab quickly. So you can see right behind me, there's bananas, oranges, etc. But once in a while, it's okay to have a treat. But so if we walk a little bit further in this room, you'll see that most of the not-so-good-for-you candy is down here in the bottom level. So you have like M&Ms and peanut butter cups and such, etc. It's just a little bit harder to reach. And Google actually found that by putting the fruits and vegetables in the front of the area of a micro kitchen, more employees eat healthier food, which is pretty cool. So that's a suggestion you can tell your cafeteria that they should put all the healthy foods for the cafeteria in the front of the line, and maybe you'll eat a little bit healthier when you're heading to the cafeteria. And one interesting thing about Google is that all of the food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything at the micro kitchen is 100% free. So that's pretty awesome. You can just go and grab a snack whenever you want. Any questions about random food at Google?
Where did you go to college?
Cool. So after high school, I went to a school called Milwaukee School of Engineering. And that's a pretty technical school. A lot of people go there for like computer engineering, software engineering. They also have degrees like mechanical engineering and architectural engineering. So I went to school for my undergraduate with a lot of kids that were going to build things, whether it was building software or helping build buildings in the future. So I certainly had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do career-wise when I started school. I was pretty lucky. I knew I loved computers, and that was something that I could focus on. But if you don't even know that, I think college is an awesome option to like figure out exactly what you want to do. I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do. In fact, I really wanted to be a Mrs. Gilbert. She was sort of like my role model in terms of I wanted to work at a school and help students apply technology and how they worked on things. And I didn't exactly end up doing that job, but my school helped me understand that I'd like to do something similar to that, but really work on building the technology first and then letting teachers and administrators work with kids.
Tyler, did you have a question?
How long did you have to go to college?
So I went to school for 4 years for my undergraduate, and I got my bachelor's degree. And then I got a job doing similar work, but not at Google. And I got a lot of experience working in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, doing computer work at a smaller company, a company called Brady Corporation. And I got some experience there, and I worked for 5 years, and then I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree. And that was really because I knew that if I wanted to learn how to work with people better and learn more about business, like how to make money and how to market ideas, I'd have to go back and get more schooling. So I got my master's in business from Marquette University in Milwaukee, and so then after I had a bachelor's and a master's, I was able to apply for a job at Google. And Google is really, go ahead, this question.
Have you ever made anything that you're especially proud of?
And have I ever created something that I'm especially proud of at Google?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Some stuff I can't talk about just yet, but I would say the team that I'm really proud of that I worked with was the classroom team. And there's a product actually now that Google uses with certain schools where it makes it easier for teachers to give assignments to people and for students to be able to turn in assignments. And it's called Google Classroom. If you search for that on the internet, Google Classroom, you'll see a short video about it if you haven't used it. But I'm just happy, I was really proud to work on that team because it was all about education, and it wasn't to make money. It was just to make teachers' jobs easier, which I thought was really cool. That's a great question. Any other questions? One thing that I guess I can give some advice in terms of career advice is it's never too early to start exploring different types of jobs. I would love, we have it happen here all the time. People come and visit Google to kind of learn what it's like to work here. And you can do that with any company where you live. Like, if you find a place that you are interested in and you want to learn more, definitely try your best to write a letter and ask if you can visit or shadow someone for an afternoon. That sort of experience is really helpful to make sure that you're on the right track. And maybe you think you want to be a doctor, but then after touring a hospital, you realize you really want to be a nurse, or you really want to be a radiology technician, or like those type of jobs interest you. I think the more you expose yourself to different careers as early as possible, the more information you have to make good decisions. So how many people have done, like, what grade class is this? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
This is grades 5 through 8.
Okay, so how many people have shadowed or been to an office and followed their parents or a friend around to learn more about it? That's awesome. Yeah, keep doing that kind of stuff. It really helps. Before I worked at Google, I visited Google 3 times, and that's kind of how I fell in love with the idea of working here. And not only did that help me in terms of learn what I wanted to do, but then when I was interested in applying for a job, I was able to tell the people that I was interviewing with that I had some better understanding of Google than other people would. Does that make sense? How many people have taken a computer class, not just a typing class, but like a computer class to learn how to use programs or to learn how to do programming at all? Okay. Yeah, go to those computer classes. It's really important.
What was your first job out of grad school?
I guess Hello? I don't know if there's anything I can do.
Can you hear us?
No, it's muted.
There you go. You're back now.
Okay.
Okay.
What was one of your other jobs before you worked at Google?
Okay, so I worked, my very first job was working at a school helping clean the computers. It was that simple. And after doing that sort of work, I worked at a very small company writing software, writing computer code. And then after that, I worked at Brady Corporation. And that was the company that I talked about. It's a manufacturer that was based in Milwaukee. And I still did computer work, but it was interesting in the fact that instead of working at a company like Google, here at Google, everyone understands technology. They know how it works. They know how important it is. When I worked at Brady, it was a manufacturing company, and their job was to manufacture products. It didn't have anything to do with computers. So part of my job was to market to them, to get them excited about using computers in their work. And that was really fun, to work with people that didn't really know how to use computers and get them excited about using them on a daily basis. Go ahead.
Do you ever get confused or frustrated?
All the time. I get confused most of the time. Mrs. Gilbert can tell you that. I don't know if Mrs. Gilbert is on this call today, but I think everyone gets stuck and confused with problems sometimes. It's not always easy. Work is called work for a reason. It can get tricky and hard sometimes. So I also work with some of the really, really smart engineers, some really smart people. And sometimes I can feel like I'm not smart enough to be here because there's so many smart people at Google. I think, well, maybe I'm just lucky that I got here and now I'm not as smart as them. And it's really not about that. Google, they remind us all the time, it's not about who's the smartest. It's about working as a team to get something done. So if I get confused or frustrated, I can just take a break. I can go play some pool or eat a banana at the micro kitchen and talk with some friends, and then get back to work after a couple of minutes of relaxing. And the nice thing is, here at Google, everyone's working for the same team. We all try to, the whole goal, Google's #1 goal, is to make life better for our users, people that use our products. So we all have that same kind of goal in mind. So if I get stuck, I can ask someone here for help, and they're able to help me and come up with kind of new ways of looking at a problem. That's a great question. Work can be frustrating sometimes, but for the most part, it really is fun. Go ahead.
Did you get straight A's in school?
I got an A- once. When I was in 8th grade, I got an A-, and my brother got an A in the same class. And because I was a little competitive, he's a year older than me, and he got all A's. So after that, I decided I should try really hard to get all A's. I think generally, getting straight A's isn't the most important thing, but caring about grades makes a big difference. And let me explain why. But of course, you want to learn the topic, and that's the most important thing. But Google, for example, everyone rose their hand when I talked about Google Search. Everyone uses that, right? Why do you use Google Search instead of some other search engine? What do you guys think about that? Go ahead.
It's more reliable.
Yeah, it's more reliable. Any other guesses? Go ahead.
Well, it's the first thing that pops up on our computer screen.
Okay, it's the first thing that pops up. That's good. That's good marketing for us. One more. Go ahead.
It's quick and easy to use.
Yeah, it's quick and easy to use. So none of that stuff is by accident. Like, if you think about it, Google makes sure that it's really easy to get to Google, #1. And if you search for something, it's amazing to me that if you search for something, it's usually the top 1 or 2 result in the list is exactly what I was looking for. And Google does that using a lot of information, a lot of data. So it can look at websites and determine what websites have the best information for what you're looking for. And it can even do things like advanced spell checks, and like if you spell a word wrong, it can show you the results not for the word you actually typed, but for the word you meant, which is really awesome. And it does that with good data. Now, when you're going to apply for a school, everyone looks like when you're looking for a school, and a school has to decide how many kids are going to go to that particular school, and there's a limited number of spots. They have to make decisions based on the data they have. And the data they have about you is what? They have your grades, they have your name, and they have what you were involved in. So you have to make that picture of you as good as you can. So I think grades are a really big component about that, and so are ACTs and SATs. Those tests do matter. So you should always make sure before you have a big test, you get a good night's sleep, and consider that stuff important. it's not like you're just going to get done with 5th grade and go on to 6th grade and no one's going to look back at that. The grades kind of follow you around for a while because it's part of the picture of who you are. Is it the only thing? Absolutely not. I did some really cool things at my previous company at Brady that helped me get noticed. For example, I made has anyone, when April Fool's happens, a bunch of tech companies, including Google, release jokes on April Fool's Day. Has anyone ever seen those?
Mhm.
Yeah? Okay. So maybe after this, if you guys haven't, you can search for Google April Fool's jokes on the internet, and you'll see a bunch of jokes that Google has done in the past. Well, my previous company, Brady Corporation, doesn't do those kind of jokes, but I kind of took some of the culture of Google that I heard about and put it into that company, and we made some joke videos, some April Fool's jokes. And when I applied for Google, they saw those videos because they were on YouTube, and they said, that's a cool thing that you took an idea from Google and applied it to a manufacturing company, and they really liked that. So the lesson of that isn't to make an April Fool's joke video. You can do that if you'd like, but the idea is that you want to give people as much information about who you are as a person as you can. And schools, colleges, and universities are going to look at your grades, they're going to look at your test scores, and what else can you tell them when you're sending an application? Talk about the volunteering you do. Talk about the creative ideas you have that you're really proud of. Make sure that you incorporate those as well, in addition to grades. Any other questions? Hopefully a few more. Go ahead.
How long have you been working with Google?
I've worked at Google just over 2 years. And I moved across the country to do that. So one thing is I lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for most of my life. And then I flew all the way to California for a job interview. And when they offered me the job, I had to move. Essentially, I made new friends and a new place to live. So now I live in San Francisco, which is pretty crazy. I never would have thought I would be able to make a move that big, but it happened. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. Go ahead.
Since you started working at Google, how much progress do you think you've made?
I definitely think that I make a difference. I help. One cool thing is that I take feedback from customers and students and teachers and anyone that uses Google products. I can take that feedback and bring it to the product teams that I work with, the people that are actually building the software and making it happen, and we can make improvements and changes in how it's done. So when I see something that I suggest get changed, it's really exciting to see that actually get launched as a product and for people to get good feedback about it. One thing that's really interesting is that in every Google product, like if you were using Google Docs, there's a little icon that says send feedback. You can go to the help menu and say, I want to send feedback about this product. People like me look at all of that feedback. Not me specifically, because we get thousands of feedback requests every minute. It's crazy. People give us feedback all the time. But I really like working with customers and coming up with ideas and then having them launch. So yeah, I feel like those, even the little things, they make a difference, and it's cool to see. How many times, like in terms of when you guys are working on school projects, if you work on something that you think really actually is good work, isn't it more fun anyway? Like if you're going to work on a paper and you're really proud of it at the end, I think it's worth spending the extra time and making it awesome where people are excited to read it versus it just being another paper to get done. So that's sort of the takeaway that I have when working at Google as well. People work really hard to make this stuff really easy to use and kind of fun because we want people to be as excited about this stuff as we are.
Yeah. Okay, we have about 2 more minutes, so.
Okay. Go ahead.
Are you a 49ers fan?
I'm a Green Bay Packers fan forever.
Yeah.
Of course, guys. That doesn't go away just because I moved to California. So, if you guys have any, if there are students in this class that are particularly interested in science and technology and want to learn more, Google has a lot of programs too that you can work with in terms of getting to learn more about computer programming, etc. So there's a website called code.org that has a lot of free resources. And also, I'd be happy to, if you guys have follow-up questions after this, you guys can drop me an email. Ask your teacher to write the questions together, and if she can email me the questions, I'll be happy to respond to them. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just have one more quick question. If someone wants to get a new computer, which one do you think they should get?
I think as long as when you're on the computer, you're using Google Chrome and using Google stuff, I don't mind. So you can use a MacBook Pro, like I'm using right now, or you can buy a Google Chromebook. But I'd stay away from Windows. They're just not as cool.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it code.org?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me make sure about that before I hang up. I don't want to send you guys the wrong one. It is. Yep.
Okay. So we have another group coming in about 5 minutes, right? You know that?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So you guys have any other thoughts, comments, anything? Well then, thank you. Thank you. All right. You guys can next to next step.
And so there's one. So you guys, people that actually write out a question for me that shows you're interested in this kind of stuff, write a question with your name and send it to your teacher. And from all the people that actually spend the time to think of another question to ask and email me, I'll pick a random drawing and we'll send you something from the Google Store, either like a water bottle or something from Google. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Everyone's got some extra homework.
You can get those questions to Ms. Strong.
All right, so I'm going to pause this just for a bit for the next class, okay?
Question my favorite question to ask.
Yeah, I'll get the question. Yeah, I'll email it. I've got questions, okay? Well, hi, Luke. I'm Ann.
Hi.
I know you've been, communicating with. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to, I've got like 5 minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, the next meeting I have afterwards is in a different building, so I'm going to walk to the other building.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I'll be back in like 3 minutes.
Okay,
sounds
so
good.
we just leave everything the way we have it, and then we'll pick it up?
Yep, absolutely. You'll be, just
Okay.
leave it where it is. Okay.
Super.
Should I leave it light up or should I turn it?
I don't know. Maybe leave it up, because then he can see
him
people.
better.
Yeah, and I think we can see him. Kim was going to come down here now, or you okay? Okay. Thank you.
I mean, the only thing that happened was it froze up, but what can you
Yeah,
do?
there's
I mean,
nothing.
we didn't do anything, right?
Okay.
You just kind of-
No, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go upstairs. I think it's all.
You have so much. Is it you can't do this? Yeah. Is this you can't do this concept. I wasn't able to do it military.
Anyway, industrial design.
I gotta introduce
Luke's gonna be back in a few minutes. Just so you know, he does give a lot of opportunity for questions, so don't be afraid to ask. And his job is really interesting, so, the last group, I think we asked over 20 questions. Don't be afraid to ask. Yeah, and the other one? No. It's fast. Just a code It's not very long. He's gonna do most of the talking. We just have to follow up with Kevin and what he does. So he's not quite ready. I will be back in a couple minutes. Couple minutes and he'll be back with us. It's over there. The website's over there. He gave a lot of It was good because that was much more.
All right, guys, we're gonna do attendance real fast, so let's stop Wyatt. Here. Sean. Here. Jessica. Here.
And Aaron.
Present.
Is it like a roll off fifth graders have to sit together?
No.
I don't know.
Hey, Carissa? There you are. Nicole, I see. Sixth grade all together. Look at that, seventh grade all together. Gabby, way over there. Good way to break the mold. Gabby, Landon, Hunter, and Jen. So we're all.
Tacos.
Tacos, where?
In the fridge.
Whoa.
How's it going, everyone?
Good.
Will you really introduce me to this group? Go ahead.
Luke Leonard, Senior Product Strategist, right?
Strategist?
Strategist at Google.
And you work for Google?
Good job.
How's it going? Thank you very much for the. Who is that who gave me the introduction?
Brandon?
Thank you very much, Brandon. Very cool. Like you said, my name is Luke Leonard, and I'm a product strategist here at Google. And what that really means is that I work to build Google products based on customer and user feedback. So I get to kind of look out and see the strategy of how do we build products is kind of look ahead and see what users are expecting our products to do, and then work with our engineering teams and get them built. So that's pretty cool. The products that I work on today are Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. How many people have ever used Google Docs before? Actually, before that, how many people have used Google before, just Google.com?
I have Gmail and Google.
There we go. Beautiful. Gmail as well. Perfect. How many people have used Google Docs specifically, which is where you can write information online and on a website, essentially, and write. It's sort of like Microsoft Word, but it's Google's version of that. Anyone? Oh, there's a couple people from last class, so you guys have to catch up. What grade level are you guys at?
8th.
7th.
So that's perfect. So the next time you're when you have a web browser, you should go to docs.google.com. That's docs.google.com. And just try writing something once, and you can share what you write with a friend, and you can work on it together. It's a really cool product that we have, so definitely use it if you can. And that's the product that I work on. Of course, I still know quite a bit about all the other Google products, and I have friends that work on things like the person sitting next to me does the same job that I do, but she works on Gmail, and we have another person that works on Google Maps as well. So I can answer questions a little bit about how we design our new features for any of those applications. I'll quick give an introduction about kind of how I decided to, or how I ended up at Google. I don't think you decide to work at Google. When Google picks you, you get pretty excited and you just go. But when I was your age, actually, in 7th and 8th grade, I knew I was really interested in computers and technology in general. I was just excited about it from the very beginning. And my teacher at the time, her name was Mrs. Gilbert, she let me check out additional books and spend a little bit of extra time. When I had study halls or free time, I would go back to the computer lab and learn a little bit more about how computers really worked. So at school, I learned the basics of programs that were being used, but then I also spent the extra time to learn about computer programming, so I got to write my own programs. How many people of you have a computer class right now? Computer class of any type. Okay. How many people have ever tried to write a program with computers before? Anyone? No? Well, you definitely should. If you're interested at all, it's something to. It's really, really fun to be able to write your own sort of program that does whatever you want it to do. It's pretty cool. So anyway, after 8th grade, when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to focus. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life in a career, but I knew that I wanted to do something with computers. So I spent a lot of time shadowing and learning about computer jobs that I knew. My mom actually had a job with computers, so I went to her work one afternoon just to learn what she did. And then also I worked with Mrs. Gilbert, who was essentially in charge of giving technology to teachers at our school. So I actually worked at a summer at my high school and just did really simple tasks, nothing like I cleaned laptops and cleaned computers and made sure that the power cords were all wound up and organized. Really basic stuff, but at least it got me exposed to working with technology just a little bit more. And then throughout high school, I took as many computer classes as I could and continued to learn more about them in my free time. It wasn't like I wasn't like a total geek where all I did was computer stuff. I had plenty of time I played soccer and did lots of fun stuff. So if you're interested in something, you don't have to spend all of your time doing one thing. Definitely feel free to have as many hobbies to learn as much about what interests you as you can. I think that helps in picking a career. So anyway, after high school, I applied to go to college at Milwaukee School of Engineering, where I got my undergraduate degree, which took 4 years. And I got it in what was called Business and Computer Systems. And nowadays, that's sort of called, the degrees that most people call it is an MIS degree, which is Management Information Systems. And that's what I got my undergraduate degree in. Then I got a job, worked after school, and Google came a few years later. So that's sort of like my beginning education to how I ended up at Google, which I'm really excited for. For every one job that Google has available, 100,000 people apply for that job. So it's really hard to get a job here. So it's sort of like winning the lottery, and I am very lucky to work at a company as cool as Google. We get to work on some cool stuff. So any questions up to this point? A little bit about the background of me?
So Luke, where are you right now?
I'm on Google's main campus in California, and I'm in one of the buildings. And this is actually the area that I'm in is called the Customer Experience Center. So we have, like, this room is set up with and there's some other people talking in the background. Hopefully it's not bothering you too much, but the room is set up to have different types of technology that Google creates all around it. So I'm going to do a quick little tour. You can see this sign behind me says Google Enterprise, and down below here you can see an example of a Google document. When you're working in Google Documents, you can have multiple people writing on the same document, and each person's cursor is a different color with their name. So it just shows an example of how Google Docs works. And I'll move over here. You can see here's a Google laptop. This is called a Google Chromebook Pixel. It's one of our coolest laptops. It has a touch screen on it, so you can actually go through and move things on the screen like that, which is pretty cool. We have we have everything Google you can imagine, including random lava lamps. So it's pretty crazy. And this is some of the additional stuff. Not only do we make software, like Google Search and Gmail, we also make hardware. So for example, we make phones and tablets. You can see here is an example of a tablet. Does anyone know the operating system that Google tablets and phones run on? Does anyone know what an operating system is? No? Has anyone heard of Android before?
Yes. No?
Yeah. So that's Google's operating system. That's what it's called. It's the operating system that runs our phones and tablets. And how many people knew that Google actually owned Android? Anyone? Yeah. So when you buy an Android phone or an Android tablet, that software that it's running on is Google's software. Go ahead. Your question in the corner.
What are you using right now to talk to us with?
I just have my laptop with a typical video camera. I could use my phone and do the same thing, but I think the laptop is a little bit better camera. But actually, since you mentioned that, and I didn't show the last person, a really cool thing about all of, I don't know if there's people in the room, there are, about every Google conference room. So there are rooms throughout Google that have conference rooms, and every single one of them has a fancy screen and a camera built in. So it's really easy. If I have a video conference, if I have a meeting with anyone, I can just go into that room and push a button, and it connects me, just like you guys and I are connected right now. I work with people all the time from different countries around Google. Google's in every country, and it's really easy to connect with any of our employees just by having a meeting with this type of software. So we use this all the time. Then this actual software that we're using is called Google Hangouts, and it's available. You guys can use it for free if you want to with a Google account. Okay, so I think the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through another lobby that shows a little bit about Google Maps. And I heard last time as I went through, all of Google's buildings are very secure, so I have an employee badge. And I'll be walking outside for just a second and then into another building. So my audio might be a little broken for a little bit, but we'll see as we go through this walk. And again, it's nice outside. I can wear a t-shirt because it's in sunny California. It's pretty nice out here today versus, I know you guys are in Wisconsin. That's where I grew up, so I know what it's like to be cold in the wintertime. So, we don't really have a big cold here. That's for sure. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Perfect. I just walked through a different lobby, and now we're in the area that talks about Google Maps. So you can see, as I walk by here, there's a gigantic multi-monitor screen showing how Google Maps is created with drivers that actually go around. How many people have looked at their their house on Google Street View before? Yeah? So you can go to maps.google.com and actually look at a picture of your house. And that's done by having cameras on top of cars go and take pictures of every single road in the United States, which is pretty great. Did you know that you can also use Google Street View to see pictures of like the Grand Canyon and the oceans? How many people knew that? Not as many? The way that that's done is again with pictures, but as you see behind me, that's actually a backpack with high-powered cameras on the top. And it's not always here because employees actually take this backpack with these cameras on top and go ahead and walk through places where our cars can't drive. So places like the Grand Canyon, for example, is one of the places where Google employees have walked through and taken pictures so that you guys can see them on the internet, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm going to walk upstairs now, just because it's a little bit quieter. As I do that, does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
What would you have to do to, like, do what you do?
So wait 1 second. I went ahead and asked you to ask a question, but then I couldn't hear you. My apologies. Can you ask that one more time?
What do you have to do to be where you are right now?
To work at Google?
Yes.
Okay. Well, all sorts of people work at Google, but I can tell you a little bit about, a little bit more about my job and how I got here. So I'm going to take a seat here. I think for sure one thing to be that Google is a very data-oriented company, and this is something that I told the last group as well. Everyone rose their hand when they mentioned that you use Google Search, right? Why do you guys use Google Search versus something else? Go ahead. The person that asked the question, let's ask the question first.
Because it gives you many search.
It gives you many.
Looking, and you can click on any, and then you have anything to look at. Find your.
So it gives you a lot of results. That's one really good answer. Does anyone else have another answer for this? Why would you use Google Search? Go ahead in the front.
a lot of people know about it.
Yeah, people just know the name. Google is a great brand. It's sort of like Coca-Cola. People know when you're talking about soda, they know that brand as well. Go ahead in the front and the left.
It's free and it's easy, I guess.
It's free and easy, and actually, both like free means that it's also very easy, right? Like if you had to pay for it, it'd be hard to use because you had to sign up in advance. So Google definitely wants to make it as easy as possible. One thing that you guys didn't mention, but it's another additional good answer, is that how many times when you look at Google, does Google know, like when you're searching for something, it's like the first or second result, like the top couple is exactly what you were looking for. How often does that happen to you guys? Yeah. So that's because Google has really good data, like really good information about how the internet works. So if it wasn't as good and you had to look through 5 or 6 or 7 pages of information to get to what you were looking for, you'd probably switch to something that was easier to use, right? So you can think about the same thing. Like for me to work at Google was the same sort of thing. I applied for a job here, and Google had to make a decision to hire me based on the information that they knew about me. So of course, I had really good grades in high school and in college. The last class asked me if I got straight A's, and I didn't. I got an A- in 8th grade. So that happens. And you don't have to have perfect grades, but really good grades do help to get into a place like Google. Because it's sort of like the all-star of a place to work when you want to work with computers. There's a lot of other companies, so Google has the luxury of being very picky about who they get to work here. Go ahead, in the back.
Like how you said, I think Google's really reliable because it has the best answers for what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And reliability is another thing, and it's always available, right? It's not like randomly Google will be broken at some point, which is another big point. So, I guess to round out that question in terms of how what it takes to work here, most people at Google have gone to college. In fact, an overwhelming majority of people go to college before they work at Google. Now, does that mean that everyone has? No. I'm sure I could find 1 or 2 people that work at Google that are geniuses. It's sort of like you probably could find 1 or 2 people that play in the NBA that never went to play college ball, to play college basketball. But that's not the norm. Most people go to college, learn, get experience at even other companies, and then come to work for a company like Google. And just a little bit about scale. Google's products are used by millions of people. So when we use things like Google Search or Gmail are accessed by millions of people every minute. With that level of scale, there's a couple of things. One, we have a lot of systems that have to be scaled to all over the world. So we have computer systems all over the world that make Google work. And 2, we have a lot of people working on this stuff. It is not just 1 or 2. So there are 40,000 people that work at Google today, 45,000, and we hire 250 people a week. So think about that. Like, there's a room of, how big is your school? How many kids go to your school?
About 250.
Okay.
We're a small school.
So that's a perfect example. Imagine your entire school getting hired at Google in 1 week. That happens every Monday. They're all new people that go to Google. And just to hire that many people, it's pretty much a process, right? To get everyone in line and get them new IDs so they can get into the buildings and all that stuff. It's very organized. So it's pretty cool to work for a company at Google where everything has to scale to so big, where there's so many people working on the same things. It's pretty exciting to be a part of this team. Any other questions?
Where else does Google have offices?
The top offices in the United States are in San Francisco, where I am today, and in New York, and then in Chicago. Those are the 3 main ones in the United States. In Europe, the biggest office is in London, and in Asia Pacific, there's a large office in Sydney, Australia. So, and it's cool. Actually, another part of my job is to go and meet with customers often. So I get to travel and meet with students that use our products, employees of companies that use our products, really anyone that uses Google Docs. I want to learn how they're using it to make it better for them. So to do that, I get to go to a lot of cool places. So next week on Wednesday, I'm flying to Israel and Egypt to go and meet with some companies, or to go and meet with some people that use our products. And I've been all over the world, which is pretty cool. So when people think about getting jobs, one thing you can think about is, are you interested in travel? And there are some jobs that make it really easy to travel, and some that make it tough. So if that's something that interests you, consider that when you're looking for careers. How many people in this room have shadowed someone at a company, or shadowed some job that they're interested in their spare time, in their free time? Okay. Everyone should raise their hand for that question, especially when you get into high school. When you're a freshman or a sophomore, it is no one's responsibility but yourself to decide and to plan for what you want to do with the rest of your life. And it's not too early. When you're a freshman or a sophomore in high school, those are times when you can make a decision and say, I absolutely want to do something in the medical field, or I really am interested in biology. So I should go and tour some biology labs. That's a great time to do that, so you have more information to make those good decisions about what you want to do. Just like Google, when you have thousands and thousands of options, when you do a search, there are thousands of results. That's how many jobs there are in the world. There are lots of jobs. And it'll help for you to narrow and pick the top ones that you want to be on the top of your list when you have more information about what you really like. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Is there any people who were Boy Scouts, was an Eagle Scout that worked at Google Earth?
I'm an Eagle Scout. Well, yeah, that's very true. There are lots of every type of people here. So there are Eagle Scouts, there are men and women, there are all sorts of nationalities that work here. Google is one of the most diverse companies in the world to work with, which is really, really cool. How many people have, kind of think of, there are diversity campaigns that are pretty national that Google takes part in. So Google wants the best employees to work on their products. They don't care if you're black, white, a boy, a girl, gay or straight, or any sort of diverse factor. They want you to be if you're smart and you can contribute and add ideas and build really cool products, Google will want you to work there. They're not going to discriminate, which I think is really, really great. It's cool that I get to work with so many different types of people. And I really do think that's why Google has the best products, because we're a team of really different people that all work together. One question that the other group asked that I guess I can kind of answer for you guys is, someone asked, does it ever get frustrating or really hard to work here? And the answer is yes. There are tough problems. I'm sure there are homework assignments and projects that you work on that are tough or not fun. And this is work too, so there are plenty of times when I get stuck on stuff and I need to take a break. And Google makes it really easy to take a fun kind of break. So I'm going to take a quick tour. So just for example, I'm sitting in this chair right now. It's like a random lawn chair in the office building here. Our office buildings are really fun. We even have, do you guys ever play these kind of the beanbag games here? We have this at our office, which is pretty awesome. I don't know if you can see this, but you can essentially play all these sorts of games whenever you want to. I didn't make that basket, which is kind of sad. But, this is Ariel and her dog. We have a dog, bring dogs to work. This is a career day for our middle school. So we're going to say hi to, what's his name? Bodie. Hi, Bodie. So one really cool thing about Google is that employees get to bring their dogs to work. So it's a really fun place to work. And that's Ariel. Ariel, say hi. So it's just a really friendly place to work, and it's a lot like school where you meet friends and you spend a lot of time with them and you work together on projects. When you want to break from work, though, Google makes it really fun as well. So there are things like those games. We have basketball courts, we have a swimming pool, we have volleyball courts, all sorts of fun stuff. And we also, when you just need a snack to keep your brain working well, we have free food. So as you see, this is called a micro kitchen. That's right behind me. And within 100 yards of every Google person's desk, you can walk and get food to just keep your brain working the best. And because just like Google search results where the best results are on top, we do the same thing with the food, where you can see like fruits and vegetables like bananas and oranges are right at the top, but less good choices are in the corner here. So I can show you. There are choices that aren't quite as healthy, like, what are these? We've got some Reese's peanut butter cups and some chips and some Kit Kats. So you can eat those foods, but Google makes it a little bit harder. You have to walk a little bit further and skip the bananas once in a while. So it's pretty cool to work for a place that makes it as fun to work as Google does. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Does anybody there think it's weird when someone's carrying on a laptop and talking to a screen?
No, not at all. There are random people doing things all the time. Do you see the person behind me carrying all those plants?
Yeah.
So there are plenty of people that have laptops that are walking around. I mean, Ariel's got her dog. That person had plants. There's all sorts of people all over the place. So, nope, not too weird. Not too weird. I think just weird enough. Maybe that's the right answer.
How long have you been at Google?
I've been at Google for 2 years. And before that, I worked at a company for 10 years. So I'm like 100 years old. It's true. But it does feel like, I swear, it didn't seem that long ago when I was in middle school. Time flies, I can tell you that much. Go ahead.
How many years did you attend college?
Okay, so my first degree was my undergraduate degree, which is a bachelor's degree. And I did that in 4 years. And then I went and I got a job at a company doing computer work, but it was a little bit easier computer work. And I did that for a few years. And I went back for my master's degree, which took me a little over 2 years. And I went to Marquette University in Milwaukee for that. How many people have heard of Marquette? Good. And the school that my undergrad school was a little bit smaller. It was called Milwaukee School of Engineering, MSOE. How many people have heard of that? Yeah? Oh, good. That's awesome. Very cool. Less people know about that one, but yeah, it took. So in total, I would say a little over 6 years of school after high school. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but I love learning. It's like something that I really, really enjoy. And the idea of doing the same thing over and over every day doesn't sound fun to me at all. So that's why I love going to school. And college is so much fun. You get to learn and meet new people. And the same thing happens with my master's degrees. So hopefully you guys are really interested in continuing your education. I know there are some days that it might seem a little boring, but it's fun to learn stuff over and over again and meet new people. How many of you are planning to attend college? Awesome, very cool. Like I said, college isn't an automatic need, but it's so awesome and so fun. And like I said, 98% of people I know at Google have master's degrees, so they have the same level of schooling that I have. I don't think it's explicitly said that they have to, but 98% is a pretty high percentage, so it's definitely worth having a degree. And when in doubt, if you're not sure if college is for you, go to college. That'd be my advice. You can figure it out right after you get there. It's a lot of fun.
If you weren't working with us right now, what would you be doing?
So today, today what I was doing before I was meeting with you was Google launches new products internally first. So the versions of software that I have, like Gmail and Google Docs, are newer than the ones that you guys have on your computers. And I help test those and make sure that we're building new and cool products. So what I was working on was there's a new version of Gmail that we have internally, and I was looking at some of the features and giving the Gmail team some feedback on how they should make it easier to understand. Go ahead. First, we'll go the closest to the wall, and then in the center.
How long do you work at Google each day?
So that's a good question. I think the typical workday of an employee is 8 hours, but people stay on we call it on campus, which is like they stay near these buildings a lot longer because there's so many fun things to do when you're not working. So, for example, I don't know if you guys can see this because it's a little dark, but we have like an area where people just go and hang out like outside. So there's a multicolored sidewalk and there's a volleyball court, etc. And there's a lot of times that after work you can just go here and hang out instead of going home. So generally I would say I'm here from, I leave home at 7:30 in the morning, and I'll probably at least twice a week eat dinner here with my friends, and I won't get home until 8 o'clock at night. But I'm not working that whole time. So after this, by the way, we have a gym on campus, so I'm going to go and work out with some of my friends, and then have lunch. So it's not like an action-packed, focused day all the time. Google is really flexible schedule-wise, and flexible like everything-wise. Like I mentioned, really about diversity. And I work in an office building, but I'm like wearing a T-shirt today, right? That's pretty normal. People don't have to dress up here. Like other jobs, some people have to wear suits and ties. You won't see that at Google. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Does Google own YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. Did you help with because I know when the loading screen is done, you can play Snake with it. Did anybody did you know anybody that helped with that?
Yeah, I know some people that work on those teams. The actual team that I work a lot with is actually the team that put together, like when you're on a Hangout, which I don't think I can. Let me see if I can do this here. There's a team that's called the Google Effects Hangout team. So, for example, I just put a headband on myself. Can you see that?
Yeah. Nice headband.
Yeah, like random hats on myself. I worked on the team. I worked with the team that built all of those sort of things. So you can put sunglasses on me, for example. So this is pretty cool technology, if you imagine, because somehow magically Google is figuring out where my eyes are and putting sunglasses over it. So the technology is pretty cool when it comes to this kind of stuff. Has anyone watched? I asked the last group this too. I guess one piece of advice that I would have for you is that someone asked if it's really important to get great, like perfect A's and great grades. It's just a piece of information about you, right? And your college admissions process, they're going to know your grades, they're going to know your test scores, and they're going to know some extracurricular activities you do. So you want to make sure that you do the best you can do to stand out of that crowd. Because there are going to be, you don't want to look like every other kid that's applying for that school. So what makes you different and special and unique? And I think focusing on those things really is a big advantage when applying for any jobs or applying for school. So has anyone ever watched some of the April Fool's jokes that Google releases every year? Has anyone ever heard of that? We do. Google does April Fool's jokes every year. So if you search for them, you'll see some videos that we've done in the past. And one reason why I was interesting to the manager that ended up hiring me is that at my previous company, I did something similar. I tried to take some of the Google magic of that culture and bring it to my old job, and they thought that was really cool. So do anything you can do. Make a YouTube video or share ideas online. Good, positive ideas. Use the internet to promote yourself instead of having. I know it's really tough to have a good reputation online, but work with your parents and put some things on the internet that show who you are. And I think that's a great thing, versus just using it to play games. Games are okay, of course, too, but use it as a tool to market yourself too. Any other questions as I continue to play with these random beards that I can put on my face?
Guys, this is really our last chance to ask because it's time for your next session. So, any other questions? What do we say to Luke in California at Google?
Thank you guys so much. It was a blast. Have a great rest of the day. And I did the same offer to the other folks. I know asking questions on like a video hangout can be tricky or can be a little nerve-wracking sometimes. So for those of you that spend the time to ask a well-thought-out question after the fact and give it to your teacher, the teachers will email those questions to me, and I will pick a random winner and send something cool back from Google, whether it's a T-shirt or a water bottle, probably a water bottle, because I don't know what size T-shirts you guys have. We'll send you something with a Google logo on it that's pretty cool, or maybe a YouTube one, because you guys were so great today and paying attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, guys, third session. You're actually going to use right there in the black jacket. We're going to here for a little bit. Just to get the introduction card. So, okay, does this mean that you're the guy that did it?
Say goodbye.
I'm sorry, dude. It's gone. There's still them basics of the whole book. Just get. This kid's a sort of It's gone.
I don't think good.